Alrighty, we're live. We're ready to go. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining our very first Care AI Agent workshop. Care AI is our AI agent product, allowing you to create meaningful AI agents designed to solve complex player and customer support issues directly inside your game or app experience. Today, we're super excited. We're going to go through all things Care AI, and our commitment is to demystify the topic of AI and focus predominantly on AI that delivers outcomes for your players. If you remember, that's what we committed to building almost 12 months ago. It's what we launched only just in April, and now we're starting to see some pretty amazing results with it. So hopefully you're all ready. Let's make a start, and I can see people joining the webinar as we're talking. I'm thrilled to see that today we're joined not only by our customers, but also thought leaders in the industry who may not be familiar with Helpshift. So if you're new to Helpshift, or if you know as well, welcome, and we hope you find this insightful. Also, as a reminder, this is a workshop setting, so please interact. Please give us your feedback in the chat and get excited with us. It's also worth noting that in certain areas of our presentation today, the on-screen disclaimer applies. Okay, let's continue. I've been working with Helpshift for the last 12 months, and looking back over that period, we started with a vision for what we think generative AI should do. We believe that AI should ultimately help your players get back in the game when they're facing a support issue. We also found that player engagement is directly related to player support. So I'm going to go through some of that data shortly, after which we'll take you through a detailed and interactive workshop on how to build an AI agent. You're going to see firsthand and be able to take part in that build, hopefully giving you a flavor of just how simple and no code Helpshift is. Backing all of this up, we're excited to share some extremely recent customer case study that I believe is transformational and indicative of how easy and scalable Care AI is. And to close us out, the product team will take you through what's next for Care AI, our journey with data, as well as the wider product roadmap. So please join me in welcoming your hosts and presenters today for the Care AI workshop. You've already heard a little bit from me already. I'm Rakesh, head of product here at Helpshift. You'll be hearing a lot more from Ashby, who's our head of research, and will be taking you through the Care AI build. And then to close it out, you'll be hearing from the expert product team, Navneet and Gaurav, who will take us through our AI and analytics roadmap, respectively. Let's dive in. Now, before we dive straight in, it's important to know on the next slide that a lot of the conclusions that we've made here for both why we designed Care AI, but also our passion for improving the player experience is grounded in data and research. So I'm super pleased to share that our next iteration of research is the State of Player Disengagement report, which we'll be sharing with all of you today. On the next slide, you'll see a little bit more detail. So we surveyed over 500 players on two specific areas: why they disengage from games, and secondly, how that correlates to any player support that they received. And the conclusions are super interesting. We found that 62% of players expect an issue resolved quickly. Well, look, no surprises there, but there is a nuance in how many actually expect the speediest results. Interestingly, though, 58% of players saying that they would quit a game because of poor support. Now, that's over half of your entire player base saying that they would quit a game because of a poor support experience. And I'm sure you agree with me that that's exactly why we're all here today. Please scan this QR code. We'll take a few seconds for you to scan that, and you'll get a copy of the full report, where outside of these headline figures that I've just talked about, we're going to dive into intricate detail in the report on how players responded on engagement by device, by platform, and also many other areas. Please take a look. Alrighty. Along with engagement and player support, the report is also quite insightful in how engagement is actually tied to further advocacy or monetization opportunities. And the two stats that really stand out to me: 62% of players said that they would spend more money in your game, and 78%, the vast majority, would recommend that game if player support quality was high. So just like our previous report, the State of AI report, we're also seeing that players are ready for AI when it's done right. 66% of players are comfortable with an AI agent handling their first response before any kind of human escalation is required. So to me, the stage is set. The industry wants player centricity. Players want player support with AI if it's done right. And all of this ties into players engaging with your game more. And at the heart of this is the player support experience. Let's take a look at the next slide. Before we dive into the build, which you've all come here to see, there are two crucial elements, some foundational elements that I want to cover off first. And this is two crucial elements that I want you to start to think about. One is the role of an AI agent, and the second is the objective. So whilst flows and endpoints are important, these terms, I think, are somewhat abstract. I want you to think of your AI agent like a team member. So from a role perspective, what's their purpose? Is it, for example, a support agent, monetization specialist, or any other kind of role? And secondly, defining the objective of your AI agent. What specific goal must they achieve? Are they there to resolve technical issues or drive conversions or any other kind of objective that you're aiming for an AI agent to achieve? Answering these two questions first will really help you to transform your project from a simple chatbot into a goal-orientated AI agent. For instance, a support agent might be tasked with answering basic FAQs, but if their objective is to get the player back in the game, the AI is actually going to prioritize quick, actionable solutions over long-form explanations. Similarly, an educational agent or a law-based agent for promotions should focus on surfacing only the most relevant offers for that specific player. So keep your AI design centered on the role and the objective. Don't let the technology overshadow the outcome that you're trying to achieve. So it's absolutely imperative that you and your teams start to think about the role and objective that you want your AI agent to play. Try and keep those terms completely abstracted from outcomes or KPIs or any other kind of technology-based outcome that you're trying to achieve, which you can achieve. I think these two steps are really the right starting point to be thinking about with your team, and you'll see some of this in the workshop coming up. Final point from me is for you and your teams to be thinking about the positioning of your AI agent. Is your AI agent an Ask Me Anything kind of experience, positioned at the front of the support experience, fielding all of the topics and questions that may come its way, but ultimately it's there to resolve and to hand off to a human agent? Or is it embedded within a specific flow? Maybe you and your team decide that there are certain topics that should have AI exposed while others retain the human touch and the human escalation path. This will determine the depth of knowledge, capability, and ultimately the outcome that you want your AI agent to achieve. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Eric now so we can start building an AI agent together. And as I mentioned at the top of this call, it's an interactive workshop, so please ask your questions and we'll try and address some of them in parallel. Eric, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rakesh. Yeah, and I do want to iterate that this is definitely interactive, and so we'll be going through this. We'll be taking questions live as we walk through this. So by all means, please put those in. We've been rolling out AI agents for the past several months. We've been in fact almost a year as we've been working with some early adopters and then with the release. I can't stress how much what Rakesh has talked about to think about the roles that to think about the roles and the objectives and how important it is as we would go out to agents. As we would go out to customers and we thought about what they were actually deploying. We started with a general AI agent, and then it soon became evident that we would also need some specialists. And so Helpshift was actually designed and built around having multiple AI agents that would work with you. But as we started to build these multiple AI agents, we realized that the structure was different, like how they behaved and things like that. And so when we looked at what is the makeup of an AI agent, and we'll actually go through this in the build today, as we'll go through these layers. We'll go through what is the personality, like how does the AI agent behave? What is the knowledge? What does it know? What's its procedures that it follows, and what are the guidelines? This really is the makeup of your AI agent. And as you start to give them different different roles and different objectives, then you start to see how, oh, it makes sense that we might have different agents and we might employ them at different times. And a lot of times, in fact, I was talking to a customer this morning that when you think about them like you would a human agent, then it starts to make a lot more sense of like how you would do this and how you would set them up. So with that, why don't we just get into the build and start taking a look at that? Let me first introduce, again, I recognize not everyone here has seen Helpshift before. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the Helpshift dashboard. We are currently under the AI section of Helpshift. This is where you manage and configure your AI agents and other AI tools. We have other parts of Helpshift, which we'll see a few of them today, but this is the main place where you get into AI agents. Now, I have already created an app. It was a game that I'm mimicking. It's called Galaxy Command, which represents a fleet strategy game that happens in space. So all of the FAQs and knowledge will be related to that in the demo today. And then what we'll be doing is we will be building both a generalist, what I call an AMA agent, which is designed to handle questions right out of the beginning. And then we'll also be doing a specialist, and I think we'll do it around missing rewards. So, all right, so that sets the stage. Why don't we get into taking a look at our AI agents? Here is our list of AI agents. Let me filter it down, and you can see I already have two AI agents here in AMA. This is my ask me anything, and then a specialist here that I have for missing rewards. Now we can actually go in and we can take a look at it, but because I want to show you the build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the AMA one and I'm going to duplicate this. And this allows me to then we can just play around with it and edit and do things like that. And you'll notice the first thing that comes up was the identity, and this is actually a very important part of the AI agent is what is its identity? You know, things like what is the avatar you want to use? What's the name that you want to have? Because you want to be very clear with your user that they are talking with an AI, and you want to give it some sort of indicator. And here I wanted to, my thinking was that I want to have an AI that really feels part of the game. So since it's a space fleet command, I wanted to have like a futuristic AI that would talk like, like we imagine a futuristic AI would be as part of the game. So here I'm just going to call it Galaxy Command AI. I put demo in front of it because this is part of the demo here that we're doing today. I'll duplicate the AI agent, and so now we have all of the settings here. Now you can see over on the side the makeup of the AI agent right here is the personality that you have, the knowledge, the procedures, and then the guidelines. Again, these are what make it up. Since this is an AMA and Ask Me Anything, let's just go through how you might build this. And so first I'll introduce you to this interface here. Over here on the right hand side, as you're working with any AI agent, you can always test it out. And then you have your options here. It does come out of the box with pre-built personality choices like professional, empathetic, and cheerful. In fact, out of the box, there's default settings that you can just take and deploy an AI agent within just a few minutes. But we'll look at the personality default settings. Again, you can see professional, empathetic, cheerful, concise, standard. So let's just say I have a question. Hey, my game crashed. And let's just see how this responds under professional. And again, this is nice to have this test right here because you can then see see how it works. I'm expecting this to be pretty bland. Let me say, hey, hello, Commander. Now, notice I'm a commander, and we'll talk about how it did this. I understand your game crashed. We're currently investigating some reports, but it's pretty bland. If I went empathetic, that would give me one where it was more of like, I'm sorry, things like that. But like I said, I wanted it to be as a futuristic tactical command interface. So I added an additional personality here so that we could basically have it feel more part of the game. So let's try that. Let's see what that looks like.
Just while you're doing that as well, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about studios who might have specific characters that they want to model their AI agent against. Is that additional personality section is where you recommend adding that additional detail? So Specific
Yeah,
after type.
yeah, when you think about it, if you want to really have this embedded in the game, there's two parts of it. One is going to be, what's the personality it uses? Does it sound like an AI? So here, like for example, it says, "Hey, command, dealing with your system crash, I certainly feel the majority of tactical disruption." So you can see the empathetic, but also I feel like a major tactical disruption here. It's doing that because of its personality that I've given it. So that's one part. The other part will be the terms that it uses. Every game or every app has very specific terms that you want it to use, just in general conversation. Ships, fleets. Instead of maps, it's going to do sectors, things like that. And so in the instructions is where you then get those granular type of things. So the personality is kind of high level, like what's your kind of tone of voice and things like that. And then the general instructions where you get very specific. So it can really feel like it's just an extension of your app or your game that you're doing. And this is important even beyond gaming, because like if you have a banking app or things like that, you want to have the AI sound very embedded in the app, so that the user feels like, hey, this is something that is knowledgeable. So here you can see the empathy coming through, and then you can see the different tone in the personality that came through.
Perfect.
I'm going to move it back to professional, and
Eric, as you're also covering off response length as well, we've got a question
yeah,
around, is it possible to cut or limit the amount of words that it generates? So, for example, a simple question like "my game crashed." As a player, I expect a short answer as well, and I think you're about to demonstrate some of that as well.
yeah. You can change it to concise, thorough, standard. There's two things that will impact on this, and we'll talk about the knowledge in just a second. But concise it'll be like I'll try to shrink it down as much as possible, so you can see here how it has worked to bring that down. The other thing is in your knowledge. You can see that it's already feeding on knowledge. And then the knowledge then will also dictate. So like if a problem is something that requires a lot, then it's smart enough to know, okay, these are required things. But here's an example. You can see I've done this twice now. One which was standard, one was concise, and you can see by bringing it concise, it brought it down to pretty short and straightforward. So yeah, that's how you control that. I can do this one with thorough. Just, hey, my machine. And now you'll see very long-winded. Was there any other questions that came up, by the way?
No, I think
Yeah.
we're still good. Yeah.
Okay, so one other thing that's really important on personality, extremely important on personality, is what are the languages that it supports? And so you can see there is the multilingual support option right here. And actually, to have it do multilingual here, you can see a long one. To have it do multilingual, all you do is you simply turn it on right this, and now it will automatically speak all of the different languages that are available that have been configured for that app. So when you set up an app, you configure the number of languages, and then when you turn on the multilingual, it will now speak within that language. And in fact, if you're using Language AI, which is an AI product by Helpshift, will also then allow you to have a international glossary so that you're using the right terms for the different elements in the different languages. So multilingual is part of the personality, and you can simply set it up that easily. Okay, so that's the personality section that we've set up here. The next one is knowledge, like what does it know? And this is super important because this is what drives its ability to answer questions. One of the things about the Care AI is it's a very well-grounded AI agent. We have trained it to really stay on topic and on task based on what it knows and what procedures that it has. And so if you want it to be able to do things, you have to provide it knowledge. In this case, I've provided it from the Helpshift pre-built FAQs. And we have two types here. We have published and unpublished. And let me just show you very quickly for those of you who might be new to Helpshift. In Helpshift, we have this concept of a FAQ center, which you can see all of these different FAQs we have, like welcome to Galaxy Command. Here's some questions about billing or economy. But in it, and you can see these are all published and what language they're published in. But we also have here some policies. Policies would be internal FAQs that are unpublished, so the public can't see them, but they might be things that we would want the agents to know about. And so when I look at the AI agent, I've given the AI agent access to both of those, and I want him access to everything because it's an AMA. So it really is as simple as giving them access to knowledge and then proceeding forward. You can also upload documents, and we'll do that when we do a specialist. We'll have some special documents that are uploaded. But knowledge is just that easy. So again, when I say um, my game crashed, you can see that, as you saw before, that it's actually now using the knowledge to ground what it responds in. So, okay, so that is personality. That's knowledge. Let's take a look at procedures for a second. And here you can see
We
the.
did have a question on knowledge, Eric,
Oh,
while you're
yes.
going through knowledge as well, if that's all right. Two really. What are the biggest challenges to ensuring all of your data is available for the AI agent to become the biggest ambassador of your game? I think it's a great
Yes.
question, and if you don't mind, I'll just touch on this quickly in terms of my thoughts, and Eric help keep me true here. I think some of this is, having the amount of knowledge, the wealth of knowledge available to your AI agent is something that will limit the phenomenon that most people know about, which is around hallucinations. And as Eric said, we've taken great care to ensure that Care AI is grounded only on the knowledge that you provide to Care AI, else go into guidelines, which we'll take you through shortly. So one of the biggest challenges is ensuring that you have just the right amount of data or the right amount of knowledge and data that meets the role and objective that you want for your AI agent. If you have enough knowledge and you're curating that knowledge from different sources, so whether it be FAQ articles or even document sources that you want to upload, then making sure that that knowledge is relevant and the AI agent has confidence to answer those questions will limit the need for it to rely on the guidelines or escalate to human agents. So the biggest challenge, I think, is making sure you curate that information and make sure
Yeah.
that you also look for any clashes or duplication or gaps in that knowledge as well. There was a separate question as well around how to identify gaps in knowledge, and I think just linked to that, we know we obviously have smart intent technology that can help to classify what customers are speaking about, and therefore that can help identify gaps. Not to mention any items that we are currently working on in the roadmap we'll share later, which can actually help with making that easier in future as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Let's talk about identifying the gaps in knowledge also when we see the consumer side of this, because I think there'll be some things that come up. So put a little bookmark, Rakesh, in that question, because I want to come back to it. But I do also want to iterate, as we've gone out with customers, it's really been interesting to see, like, what was the day one performance when we turn this on and how quickly that performance goes up as we iterate and improve the FAQs. And the number one factor in a successful AI agent in all of the brands that we've gone out with has been based on how well their knowledge is set up. And so this to me is probably the most important impactful area to get from that initial like 0 to 60%. Like, it is going to be your FAQs, and then the procedures, guidelines, and things like that will set up the rest of it. So I think
I'm
there's
just
another
gonna
question that came. Yeah,
There
yeah.
is another question. Sorry, do you want to take it? It's from Matthew around if you have
Yeah,
several.
yeah. I was just going to take that. The question was, like, if you have what if you have multiple apps, how does the AI agent handle that? And one of the things I was going to show you, that when you set up an AI agent, you actually select which app that it is being connected to, and it will then only get its knowledge from within that app. It is basically locked to that app. And then in addition to that, when you work with when you set up the knowledge, you can also even filter it down further and say, this is, I don't want you to use this FAQ or this FAQ. So, but it allows you to do that. So, okay, that's on knowledge. Let's move on to procedures. So in this AMA, we actually don't have any specific procedure set. Doesn't mean that the agent doesn't follow procedures. In fact, the AI agent will dynamically build its procedures. As you saw earlier when I said my machine crashed, it actually was trying to troubleshoot. And the way it builds its procedures is that it will look at the knowledge, digest that knowledge, and then understand how it might do that. So like if you have a a knowledge base of like, hey, here's the 5 steps to look at doing this, it will then just follow through those 5 steps. When we do a specialist, we'll actually add more procedures. So usually in AMA, you can have something, you can not have any. You might have some procedures about handling tags and things like that. But for this demo, I'm going to have no procedures here. We'll add some in the next one. So then that leads us to the last one, which is the guidelines. So here under guidelines, we have the instruction set that is going to guide the AI agent. And these will always come up when the AI agent starts. It goes through these guidelines, whether it's guardrails, actions, or the general instructions. And so this helps it out. This gives it its role. It is a support assistant. And here I've told it, it is the first layer of support for customer, for the player. So it understands where it sits in the customer service chain. Also, you resolve common questions based on knowledge. Here is also where I've provided some specific terminology. So like how do you refer to players as commander? What's the map system called? What is the economy? I think, Rakesh, you had a question about this earlier, about how do you do these personalizations, this,
Mm.
or give it its personality. This is where you do that. You give it, like, you talk about dark matter or helium-3 or whatever. And so this is how it knows that. And then I gave it some general handling rules. This was a set of do's and don'ts. Provide answers from knowledge, provide basic troubleshooting, allow users to express, this basic do things here, and that. So it was really, other than that, I was just taking the defaults. Now there's two other things, which is guardrails and actions. Guardrails are the protections that you have in place. Now, the Helpshift Carry AI comes out with a number of guardrails automatically. You can see prompt injection, reverse engineering, hate speech, harassments, dangerous content. That's already here. And in this case, I'm going to take the default. However, we do understand that you may need to edit these. You may have a game that maybe it is okay to talk about doing harmful things because it's part of the game. So you can then create exceptions or things like that. Or you might have your own custom guardrail. In this case, I've just taken the default guardrails that are here across all of these, which brings me to the last one, which is actions. And in actions, you would have, of course, the primary actions in Helpshift, resolve, reject, and then fallbacks. These are the conditions of what do we do if something goes not as expected, like if the user's unhappy, or there's a problem that we don't know how to handle, or they talk about something that's very sensitive. You can actually set up specific handlings for that. So if they're sensitive, we want it to go to trust and safety. By default, all of these are set to escalate to a default queue. And so if you have Helpshift already has automatic queue assignment or automatic human assignment, so you can just take the default, but you can then make this very, very specific. So I'm going to jump into the demo. Rakesh, before I do, can you check to see if there was any other questions that we needed to talk about before we actually go into showing this in action?
No, all good so far. I would just say just how important that test center is as you're building your AI agent, particularly when you've started to add and edit any guardrails that you've got. Because as you configure it, you have the ability to test these things, in real time before you actually publish this AI agent. And I've certainly found this a very useful tool in making sure I've got the configuration of my guardrails and my knowledge and my procedure just right.
Yeah, I live by this right hand as I'm going through this, because you're working on, well, how does this instruction work versus this instruction, or is this really going to be protected or not? Becomes critical to do that. So, all right, let's go into the demo. So what I have set up here is I have set up just basically a mimic a phone environment here. I have the Helpshift chat that is already here ready to go. And I think I'm going to add this. I'm going to ask it a very simple question, one that it should be able to answer from the knowledge. I've been playing the game and I keep on seeing this term HE3. What is HE3? I am new and I don't get this term. Okay, so I'm just asking it what is HE3, and I'll kick this off. Now, while this is going, I'm actually going to change views here, and I actually like this view. This view is going to show side by side what is going on in Helpshift. This is actually the agent view. This is exactly what an agent would see when they interact. And so we can see what the AI agent is doing, in addition to then what the consumer might see. So we can see it came in. The issue was automatically we had smart intents came in, classified this as a general question. It was then assigned to the AI agent, which then picked it up. The AI agent then did a query. So here it was grounding itself. In addition, it had all the knowledge, all the instructions. So it grounded itself. And then you can see that it had the answer. Here was He3 evidently is helium-3, which is how how you fuel things. So there's the answer. It's very, it came from that. And I would say, okay, tell me everything about this. So this is a follow-up question. Now, notice I said, tell me everything about this because it is an AI agent. It has context. It knows this means helium-3, even though I never used that term, but that's what we're talking about. And now it's going to then give me more information about where to get it, what I might use it in, and what else that I might have about it. So there you go. It is answering questions directly out of it. It's not just regurgitating the information. It didn't just be like, here was this, here was that. It's actually putting it together and making it sense for me. And that's great. Thank you. And so we'll close out this conversation. The AI agents should automatically recognize that the conversation was solved or the issue was solved, and so it should automatically now close it out. So interesting. It did actually, as it was closing out, it's given me a tip. It says, as you get back in out, here's a quick tip to optimize your helium-3 consumption. You can go do this. And so it's actually giving me a tip to get me back into the app instead of just saying, I'm done. It recognizes that its objective is to help me play, in this case, in the app. And so it's now giving me a tip to meet that objective. So that was a very simple case where we asked the AI agent just to provide some knowledge. Let's do a little bit of troubleshooting here. I want to have the AI agent now try to make a connection. It has information about the game from the knowledge, but now I'm going to give it a problem to see how it tries to solve this. And so I'm going to say, hey, I am not seeing the war room. What the heck? Okay, so I'm not seeing the war room. What the heck? So here's a problem that it has to reason through, try to solve the problem and figure out. And I'm going to say this is a general question, so it's coming in. So now I'll just give everybody an understanding of what's really happening here. So I'm a player and I'm at level 18. You can see my custom issue field is level 18. But War Room doesn't come out until you're at level 20. And so that information is in the knowledge, and you can see it first grounded itself, and then it was able to identify. It says the War Room has access to players at level 20, but you're currently 18. And so it's not just a search and find. It's actually searching through, reasoning over it, taking a look at what might be the problem, taking a look at data about the user, and then making the connection and being like, yes, this is what's not matching up. Let's go and do this. And this is where having a good FAQ is important, because that's where it's then able to then understand what might be going on here. Okay, what will I need to do to get the war room? Okay, let's see if it can actually follow up and have some additional things for me to do. So, okay, so let me see. So I need to get to 20, and yet there's a mission that I need to complete. Show us your medal, and then that gets me through it. Okay, great. Back to the game. Let's go. So here it solved a problem. Didn't just answer a question, it solved the problem. Let's give it something harder. Let's do some troubleshooting and have it something that it can't solve. I'll just go all the way. Let me see how it closes. See if it gives me a tip. Yeah, here's a tip: enhance your combat efficiency so it's giving me some ways that helps me level up. So, okay. All right. So in the game, there's actually a feature that we have that when you're getting attacked, your base will lock itself down. So I'm going to say, hey, my ship yard went offline during a pirate attack, attack, but did not come back. Okay, so this is a problem that as we were as I was playing, that I got attacked by pirates. My shipyard went offline. There's actually a mode where it automatically will do this to protect it. And I'm going to see if the AI can then figure out some initial troubleshooting. And yeah, and so here you can see it did do the initial troubleshooting, saying, hey, look, there is an automated process that will then activate. It's a fail-safe, and this prevents you from losing things when this happens, even if I were to go offline. And so that's kind of the first thing for me to go and check that. I'm going to say, yes, I know, but it has been 3 hours and still not back online.
Just whilst you're typing that
Okay.
as well, Eric, I think it's probably just worth for those people that are new to Helpshift, the responses that, as you can see on the screen, that the player sees are obviously represented in purple. But I think it's super useful to see how the AI agent is also thinking about where it's getting its knowledge from, and you can see that sort of list in yellow. And one of the topics that keeps coming up, I think it was one of the submitted questions as well, is around how to limit hallucinations. And obviously, we talked about having the depth of knowledge, having enough knowledge. But here's a great troubleshooting step and a data point you have in Helpshift that allows you to see where it's taking its knowledge from, and any changes you want to make in Helpshift. You can go to your FAQs or you can go to the uploaded documents, make those changes, and therefore the next time around you're expecting a different response.
Yep.
I find this useful. I'm sure you do as well, Eric, when you look at this.
No, in fact, and what we did with a few of the early customers, we actually went through and reported on what were the FAQ articles that were coming up during the as the AI agent was basing itself, and in what knowledge it was using, and then so we could say, oh wow, a good 20% of the time it was using these 5 FAQs. Let's go make sure that these FAQs are really accurate, really correct, or things like that. Or we said, what were the times the AI agent didn't solve it? What were the FAQs it looked at? These were the ones. Let's go make that better. So, okay, so here you can see that I said it's been 3 hours. It recognized it did not have an answer for that, and so it left a note behind for the next human agent. It said user shipyard has been offline. This is outside my protocols, so I'm now escalating this. So now if I'm a human agent, this is the interface that I come in. I can actually see what happened. I can see all the FAQs that were actually used. What was the AI agent grounded in? What was its response? And I can then get back to, I can say, I will look into this, and then I can start working on this. So you can see very easy for it transition from from an AI agent to a human, all of that information. So there is a Ask Me Anything. We have seen brands that have deployed this type of an AI agent, and within very few days, actually been able to get upwards of 60 plus coverage on their resolutions from an AI agent. So, okay, let us shift gears here just briefly, and we have now talked about the personality knowledge procedures and guidelines of an Ask Me Anything. So let's take a look at the missing rewards. And Rakesh, I'm just going to pause, and because this is a natural shift, to see if there was any unanswered questions I need to jump into.
No worry. I was typing one out for Jesus, who asked a question. Is it possible to embed the AI into other platforms such as Discord, specifically a Discord channel, not a DM? Currently, Carry AI Agent is deployable within Mobile SDK, Web SDK. That's our starting point within Helpshift, within our Helpshift channel connectors. But we are working on research to enable AI agents to be exposed into other channels as well. And certainly Discord will be one of those areas that we will start to look into there as well. But right now, AI agent is available within our mobile SDK embedded in the game, and any web SDK that you may integrate elsewhere as well.
Yeah, and that for sure is something we're working on. Absolutely. So, okay, let's take a look at how this differs when we have a specialist. Now, in this case, a specialist, we're going to have this come in after the intent has been detected. So a player comes in, says, I'm missing my rewards. We know that we have a specialist for missing rewards, and so let's then give it to an AI agent to handle that. So let's take a look back at the AI agents. And you can see I have a missing rewards one. I'm going to duplicate this again just so that we have a play space that we can go into. On this one, I've given a different basically avatar here. It's a red one with MR standing for missing rewards, um, so that it's very visible to the players that, okay, this is something new, something different.
Mm.
So let's just duplicate this for editing. Rakesh, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just as we're going through this very specific flow, which is around your Galaxy Command demo app that you have. I just want the audience and any of the audience that may be non-gaming, coming from a non-gaming background as well, to recognize that all of these principles still apply. Defining the role, the objective, Helpshift is still applicable within a non-gaming or multi-sector environment. So missing rewards, maybe missing credits, or a complaints flow, or anything specific that's within your customer service support flow as well. The exact same things apply. So I do encourage our non-gaming audience members as well to ask any questions that you have in the chat. We're happy to field them as we go through this as well.
Okay, so on the personality, this is what we had talked about, is that when you look at these different AI agents, their makeup is going to be different. That's why you would have one, because just like humans, you want some humans that are good at this, other humans that are good at that, and so you want to have that. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see how this agent is going to be different. In fact, I don't want the personality to be professional here. I want it to be empathetic because they're missing their rewards to come with. I don't want to have the kind of the game AI thing. I want to actually be very direct and to the point. So I want it to be empathetic and concise so that when they have a problem, it's like, okay, I get it. You have a problem. Let's work on fixing it versus trying to be like, hey, I'm, commander, how are you doing this or whatever. So here you can see it's very like, I see you're worried about crashing. Let's get to fix it. Now, I know we're going to talk about missing rewards, but I just wanted to show you empathetic and concise. That's the personality that we wanted. Let's take a look at knowledge. Here again, we wanted to use the same general knowledge that all the agents have, but we also have this concept of a knowledge hub within AI agents, and this is additional knowledge that you can give to AI agents. And this additional knowledge comes from the source that you might have for your regular agents or things that you might have within your system. So here I've actually have a missing rewards and compensation document. This is a PDF that tells just additional procedures, policies, things about that allow us to handle rewards and compensations. And so here in the AI agent, the Galaxy command. So here in the knowledge here, you can see that I've added the missing rewards folder and then the missing rewards compensation guide. This is a PDF, and so often this is the same thing that the human agents will use. So you can see that I've added this. So now it has additional knowledge, making it much more specialized. The third thing we've added is here we have added procedures. And so here you can see I have a missing rewards procedure. So that's the other thing that we have. So we have the knowledge hub, but we also have procedures. So now I want to show you where the procedures live. Now, procedures are outside of the AI agent because you can share a procedure across different, different AI agents. So here I have a procedure. This is the one that I'm using, but I also have one that's in draft that I've duplicated. We'll take a look at that one because this one I can edit the procedure that happens. So in a procedure, we have two things. One, we have how does the procedure start? What is the trigger for it? And so you can see in the procedure configurations, I've added a topic that says if the player talks about missing rewards, and I've used the same name as the smart intent. And so even issues that are assigned from smart intents will get picked up. But I've also added other things like, so if the smart intent says it's missing rewards, it will do that. Or if they just say things like, hey, I didn't get my reward, I completed my mission, I didn't get anything, this sucks, or anything like that. This description doesn't need to be that specific. It really is about giving the AI an understanding about when to run this procedure. You can, of course, give it trigger words. If they say this or that, then go do this. But you can also, it is an AI, so you can let it reason through, should it be doing that, and things like that. So that is how this procedure gets triggered. Once the procedure is triggered, the AI then will read through the procedure and then reason through the different steps that it needs to do. So this is where you can direct it very specifically. So for example, I've told it here to conform, that should have said confirm, to first confirm what reward type that they're complaining about between daily space commissions and war rooms, and stop. So this procedure here is actually going to take multiple turns. The AI agent will say, hey, is it this? And then that, and then I have my step two is to then check the logs and then act on it. So here you can see it's actually interfacing with data. It says review the recent logs in the custom issue field. So Helpshift has a data system called custom issue fields where it can review data within it. So I'm saying, hey, go take a look at the data system, take a look at recent logs, and then you can review through this. It could go get data if it needs to, but this is probably the most common way that you do it is you would have it in the data system called custom issue fields. Then if there's an error, take an action. So if you found an error in the logs, and then you can see here, then an action. And this is where you insert your actions. Up here it says insert action. And you have different things it can do. It can escalate, resolve, reject. These are kind of standard things that you can do within Helpshift. You can add a message, private note, things like that. But what if you wanted to do more? What if you wanted to do multiple things together, or you wanted to interface with an external system, do an API or things like that? Well, Helpshift has this concept. We've called them bots for years, but basically what they are is they're workflows. They are these pre-written workflows that will happen, and human agents have used them for years. So if human agents wanted to recover rewards, they wouldn't do the 5 steps to recover a reward. They would run the bot, and the bot would go do those 5 steps to recover rewards. And so that's what you see that's happening here is it's calling the bot recover reward. So if you can see I can just add it and get the bot recover rewards. Okay, and it adds that to that. And so what's really nice about this is instead of the AI agent having to think through every single step of, oh, I need to go to call an API, see if it returns successful, if it did this or that, and then do all of that, it can just say, look, I'm going to send this off to a workflow. That workflow is going to get done, and then it's going to hand it back to me. And then I am going to then decide what to do. If it did find the rewards and reissued them, then I'm going to tell the player, hey, you have those, and then you should wait up to 15 minutes to see them and then resolve it. So that's how the system can interact with other tools and other systems and how you get things done. I think there was a question that came in, Rakesh.
It was around best practices, around how to structure these PDF files. I've answered the
Okay.
question to Jesus,
Okay.
but
Very good.
yeah.
So then
Yeah.
we'll stay on procedures here. And so that's how a procedure works. Let's go back to the AI agent and so let's take a look at, so here, if I click on procedures, you can see I've added the procedure. In fact, I can add any of these other procedures simply. So I could have an AI agent that has multiple procedures. Here I have that. So now we're done with personality knowledge procedures. The next is just general instructions, guardrails, and actions. The general instructions are similar, except I did say that it is focusing on missing rewards, so it knows that it is a specialist. Terminology would be the same. I did have some changes in the handling to ensure that, focus on missing rewards, things like that. And then since we're dealing with data, I've added just a few more do's and do nots about handling data. So like don't share the logs with the player and things like that to add some additional protections. I think for the guardrails, I left those the same, the default guardrails. And then for the action on the fallbacks, I did change this one. I turned user unhappy off. And that's because I want the AI agent to, even if the user is unhappy, to stay working with the user. If the AI considers that it doesn't understand or can't solve the problem, it will still escalate. But even if the user is still frustrated, why did you do this? It's so stupid. The AI agent won't immediately escalate just because the user's unhappy, because that's very common in this case. So you can see why we would want to do a specialist here. Okay, we have now we've now done set up the specialist. Let's actually see this in action. So let's go back to this view right here. And again, I'll do this a couple of times so we can see different handling. So we'll just start off with my rewards are missing are. So I'll start off in as a frustrated user. My rewards are missing. Let's see how this. So automatically, the AI detected it was missing rewards. It assigned it to the AI specialist. You can see that picked it up. The AI specialist immediately triggered a procedure, which was what was good. It did also ground itself in related knowledge, which was good. And then now it started the procedure. I can see that it was daily space commission. So I'm going to, it's asking me which one it is. I'm going to say it was the daily commissions thing. Okay. And so now the AI agent is reasoning through the rest of that, and it is checking my logs just to show you where the logs are. Down here, I have the logs, and in the logs, I did throw an error that the database connection had a timeout. So it was able to see that. And so it did reason through that, and then you can see it actually then started the recover rewards process, which then made the API call and added a tag. So you can see that was automatically done. So multiple things were happening very quickly here. Um, Put a note behind that said, okay, the recovery was successful. And now the AI agent now came back and said, sounds really frustrating, empathy there. Looks like there is a temporary issue with the processing your rewards. I've reissued you for them. Please follow up in 15 minutes. So yeah, so you can see also that the tone here is very professional. It isn't using all of the kind of the special AI stuff. So okay, I see them. Thanks. All right, so this was a case where I went through and it just went straight through. You can see that the procedure ran, it called the external one, and then now it's closing it. And yeah, it's interesting. It's giving me a tip again that the space commissions reset every midnight. So I should probably, because it knows that I'm interested in this reward, so it's giving me a tip about the reward, very contextual. So, all right, let's do it again. I'm going to try to hack it a little bit. My rewards are missing. Yeah, I want to take a look to see if some of the protections that I put in, and these are the types of things that you would do in the test view is like see if you could hack into it and things like that. So I'm going to go through. It's going to trigger the procedure again, read through my logs and all of that. So we'll just go through this very quickly. It was the daily space commissions. Um, and so let's see what happens here. Um, Again, it should be able to read through the logs and identify that. Yeah, so here it's grounding itself, and then yep, read through the logs, identified it needed to recover the rewards, and then it should tell me about it. It's reviewing the success. Okay, great. Yes, but can you tell me what logs that you looked at? I want to see them. So if you remember, he had a specific instruction not to show logs. So here I'm poking into that instruction to see what happens and how the AI reacts to this. And then you can see, in fact, you saw how fast of an escalation, and you can say it escalated to define fallback as user queries within. So what it did is it actually triggered it saw that, okay, I'm not supposed to share the logs. This person is hacking, so therefore I need to immediately escalate. And so then it did that escalation and got out of it. So all right, so I will resolve this one, and then we'll just do one more very quickly. And then I think, and if there's any other questions that came in, I saw Rakesh, a question came in while I'm setting this up.
Yeah. Can a bot search for information online or use knowledge outside of its knowledge base? For example, what if we wanted to create a sassy, youth-orientated bot that interacts with players using memes and slang? Great question. Let me take the top part of that.
Okay.
At the moment, searching outside of its knowledge base is not a functionality we have today, but we'll get to the roadmap shortly because we are working on this very, very quickly in the next quarter. We'll be adding more knowledge sources where you can connect, to your point, external knowledge sources to collect that information from. To the second part of that question, I love this vision, the sassy youth-orientated bot that
Yeah.
interacts with players using memes and slang. If we've got that context, if you've got access to that context in your knowledge, then absolutely you can build an AI agent exactly as you've described.
Yeah, absolutely. The one on both of this, even the external information, one of the things that's very important is that Helpshift Carry I is very well grounded. And so even if we are, as we bring information in, which you saw as part of the knowledge that we had, we bring it into the AI agent and then it gets approved and used so that it's not just randomly pulling, external information. It'll be things that you bring in and say, this is approved for you to use and then do that. So, okay. So you can see here I see some more questions get up. Let me just have come up. Let me just finish this one. You can see it gave it. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to see how it handles with a shift in the conversation. So I've been talking about my missing rewards. Now I'm going to just throw out just a random question. Hey, I bought some ships on Apple Store, but they are not showing up yet. Any ideas? Okay, so here I was talking about rewards. I'm now shifting it. Now I just want to see how the AI agent, even though this is a specialist, if you remember, we did ground it in the general knowledge. And so it should be able to identify and answer this. And sure enough, it said, look, Commander, purchases made through the Apple Store can take up to 15 minutes. If you haven't shown up, then let me know and we'll talk about that. Okay, I see them now. Great, thanks. All right, that was the extent of the demonstration that I had. I wanted to show both of these use cases here, the multilingual and the AMA, the Ask Me Anything agent, and also the missing rewards, and really wanted to show you how these four layers come together: the personality, knowledge, procedure, and guidelines to make that AI agent. And then so you think about that first slide, what are the roles and objectives? You start there, you build your AI agents. We've had brands that have built these literally in just a very short amount of time. With just in a few minutes, you can actually build an AI agent and get it out there, and then have it start have impact. So, all right, Rakesh, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I know some other questions have come in, and we can take them as we get to the Q&A, or if there's any you want to take now, we
Absolutely.
can.
Yeah, let's take them in the Q&A section when we get around to it. There's some interesting questions coming through for sure. Thank you, Eric. Amazing. How cool was that? I hope you're excited as I am. We saw two powerful AI agents deployed right there. No code, a high degree of flexibility at your fingertips as well. And I saw some of the questions coming through, asking definitely on point on asking the questions, whether it be around guardrails or the level of knowledge that you need. I hope the one thing that you took away from that is just how no code that is. So the two areas that we certainly recommend is this should be a team effort. As a team, you will work together within your studio, within your customer service operations to understand the amount of knowledge you need to curate and how you need to feed that knowledge into the AI agent, but ultimately to achieve the role on an objective that you want to achieve. I think there's no customer example recently that really epitomizes that than TopHatch. And what you see here is a really, really, really strong example. And I want to share this one story from our customer base. TopHatch is a creator of Concepts, an award-winning infinite canvas sketching and design app used globally by architects, designers, visual thinkers for flexible vector-based sketching and ideation. We're known for gaming, and we created this platform with players and gamers in mind. But Helpshift is also very flexible when it comes to non-gaming applications as well. TopHatch really epitomizes this. They deployed Carry I using multilingual capability, were up and running in hours. More importantly, they were seeing high automation rates results in a matter of days. And outside of those results, which we're super proud of, And we love seeing the positive impact, as you see on the next slide, that it's having with our customers. They were up and running in no time. And this aligns to our vision of Care AI being a flexible, a powerful addition to your player and customer support operation. Um, I'm really excited about that case study, and I hope we start to see more of these based on the best sort of practices that you saw today from Eric and just how quickly you can get up and running with Care AI. It's also worth mentioning, and I mentioned some of this in the answers in the Q&A, we also do have a Care AI guide. It's available to everybody, step-by-step guide. Whether you're a Helpshift customer or not, we want to share our thinking and our philosophy around how AI agents should be created. We'll make sure that that link is made available to everybody on this call. So you've got that as a reference guide for what you saw today. Hopefully nobody was taking any frantic notes because we've got all of this covered off in the guide, and we'll share that along with the player disengagement report that you saw earlier as well with everyone. I think we're moving to Q&A next. Perfect. And maybe I can kick one off from Nadezhda, who asked a question about handling multiple questions at once. Simple answer, yes, you can. I think in some of the demos and some of the areas that Eric was demoing across the Ask Me Anything agent or even the specific agent, in the interest of time, some of those questions were fairly short and succinct to demonstrate the responses. But absolutely, if you've got 2-3 questions that you fire across to the AI agent, then it will respond. The caveat there, though, is based on the depth of knowledge that you're providing to that AI agent. So if it has access to a knowledge source that allows it to pick and choose where it wants to take that knowledge from, that will form a deep answer. And then secondly, as we mentioned at the start of this, the role and objective also factors into this as well. If you want the objective to troubleshoot, then maybe one of those questions that your customer has asked might require some troubleshooting. So you need to make sure that you sort of balance those things, and that's why we're really keen with our customers and users actually using the test center there as well. But in short, the answer is yes, absolutely it does.
Rakesh, I did when that question came in, can I share my screen for a second, just real quick?
Please.
Okay, so here I just did one, this was from the AMA. I just did 2 of the questions we asked earlier. What is HE3 and any idea why I cannot see the war room? And so you can see the first one it answered, here's HE3, does that clarify? Yes. And then immediately then said, okay, great, I'll get working on the next one. And as Rakesh, mentioned, these are 2 simple questions. If it would have then gone into, say, a really lengthy one with a procedure and things like that, even as humans, we're like, wait a second, did we catch this? And so, you do have to balance this, how many questions you want to do. But yeah, it is an AI agent, so it can reason through multiple things, keep track of things, and things like that within reason. So yeah, here's 2 questions all at once. It's still working through it. So,
Right.
All right.
We had a question about scaling AI agents and humans to monitor the customer interaction. So a question about scaling and rollout. And I think the sort of best way to answer this is in 2-part. One, you want to keep the starting point quite simple. That would be my advice, to make sure that your AI agent and the impact it has to your human operations is well understood. So a very simple starting point, something that makes us proud, as you can see, is just the speed of which you can deploy this. And I think the biggest advantage to that speed is you can get testing quickly. And you can start to sort of make sure that you've got the tone right, you've got the overall role and objective right, and then where do you need to go back in to actually make enhancements to start that scaling journey. The second point I would answer is in the Care AI guide, we've actually created a bit of a recommended rollout plan as well that goes through all of those phases, whether you're testing, whether you're A/B testing, and also whether you're then continuing to curate knowledge and creating APIs that you can connect to. Basically, what's that step-by-step milestone plan, at least a recommendation of how you might go from a humble beginning starting point to actually achieving the kind of results that you're expecting to achieve, whether that be automation or an experience uplift or an engagement uplift as well. I want to bring this back again to the customer case study that we saw that TopHatch were within a matter of days ready with a multilingual AI agent, and the enhancements that we're making in parallel with the preparation that they did before going live on Care AI was really around that, right? So, understanding the knowledge source, making sure that the knowledge source is clean, making sure it doesn't conflict as well. So I think making sure that you iron out those barriers will really help you scale. One last point I would say is don't forget about the feedback loop, a very important feedback loop that you have with your human agent operations. They are the most critical part to this overall flow because as those guardrails trigger and as those guardrails actually come into effect, as you design them, your human agent operations are helping there to augment and uplift that overall experience for the customer and for the player. It's absolutely imperative that you take feedback from the human agent operations as well, because how you react to that and absorb that into your implementation will help you scale faster as well. I hope that answered the question that came across. Eric, I don't know if you had anything to add to
Yeah, I
mention.
was just going to say, I mean, we've done this now for with multiple customers, and I think the ones that I've seen most successful as they've been scaling, and you can go back to the use case that you showed earlier, the customer case you showed earlier, is ones that start off simple. Brought in the AI agent and was not like, hey, let's have it go do everything. Let's have these super complex procedures across everything. Keep it simple, and then understand what it can do. And as they did that, then they're like, oh, we can then make this better, or we can make this better. Let's add these 4 more articles. Let's add this. Oh, you know what? We're seeing a lot of this. Let's add a procedure here and things like that. Those have been the ones that actually moved faster doing that versus trying to build this big monolithic, hey, let's do everything all at once. And so that's always been my recommendation. Bring it in, leverage the Helpshift capabilities for routing and being able to segment and things like that. So you could be like, let's bring it up, let's start off, have it answer questions, let's add a procedure, and then go. And that's, to me, that's been the by far the most successful approach that brands have taken.
Perfect. Um, One last question, just in the interest of time, when do I need to create a separate AI agent? Very, very good question here. We talked at the start of this is of determining where you want your AI agent to apply. And I would say two considerations here. Maybe that applies in both cases. So maybe you want an Ask Me Anything, and maybe there are some specific flows you want an AI agent to work in as well. I think the first thing is around establishing that role and objective. If you want the role and objective to be everything, everything, everywhere, all at once sort of thing. The one thing to bear in mind is, do you have the knowledge that covers everything for that AI agent to handle those inquiries effectively? And secondly, are there any procedures that you need to write to tell that AI agent what to do in the event of a specific flow that may come up in AMA? So let's say, for example, a customer asks for wants to make a complaint or wants to inquire a missing reward, as Eric was showing earlier. That could either be a procedure, and therefore there's a very clear distinction between the knowledge that you have and the ability to trigger a procedure in the AMA agent, or you're creating a specific agent if you think that the role and objective for a missing reward agent is actually more than just following a procedure. Maybe your missing reward agent requires some grounding knowledge, requires more than one procedure in missing rewards. So there's a lot for it to navigate. So I would say in your design phase, you're trying to navigate whether I actually want an agent top flow, whether I want it to cover everything, and what's the impact of it not. Are there guardrails and procedures that it should follow? Secondly, if I want to have a specific one, then as your role and objective evolves, there's a decision point there to say, do I need another AI agent, or should I just evolve and add more to my AI agent as well? Eric, I know you're working with a lot of our
Yeah.
customers on this very particular point as well.
Yeah, I've seen is interesting. I've seen brands approach this in 2 different ways. There have been some brands that said, "Look, we're going to start with a specialist, and what we'll do because we want to just target this one specific scenario. Let's put an AI agent to handle this one problem. So we're going to start with a specialist there, and then we'll move forward. And as we feel that this is handling well, then we'll start to branch out and do other specialists, and then eventually a generalist." How we've had other brands that have gone completely the other way. They said, let's start with a generalist and they'll start with the frontline support. And then as we want to start to get the higher percentage of coverage, then we'll start to employ some specialist around it. So we've had kind of brands come up both sides. But the question is like, why would we do it? And it's typically when you start to get into, you know what, we would need different knowledge, or we want to have different personality, or we want to have like the makeup is fundamentally different. If the makeup is fundamentally the same, then you can just add procedures and things like that. But it's when the makeup changes, that's like, okay, I'm going to need another one. So,
Perfect.
okay.
Thank you very much. In the interest of time, let's cover our last point. I want to thank you all for being part of this workshop. We saw some great questions coming through. We are super proud to be taking you through what we're able to do here at Helpshift with Care AI. We've seen firsthand today how Care AI can actually transform your overall player support channel. From setting whether it's clear roles and objectives or to building an intelligent no-code agent that gets players back into the game. And our goal today was to show you that innovation doesn't have to be complex, but we're just getting started. With all of the work that you've seen, particularly from what's coming up in the roadmap and our customer results, we are clearly just getting started. And we're going to be at Gamescom in Cologne in August, and I'd love for you to join us for a live version of this workshop where we can troubleshoot. It's a perfect setting. Where your specific challenges, any of your AI agent implementations, or even how you're thinking how a Care AI agent might impact your player support operations, we can help ideate with you. You can explore our roadmap and connect with our team face to face there at Gamescom as well. So please keep an eye on your inbox for details on how to book your spot. And please do reach out, but we'd love to see you there at Gamescom where we can have a face-to-face version of this workshop and get really hands-on with either our implementation of AI agents and how we think of the world, or even your specific implementations if you are playing with Care AI. I want to thank everybody for joining the workshop today. I hope you found that insightful, and we will follow up with all of the material and all of the thought leadership, as well as the Care AI guide that you saw today. And I want to thank the Helpshift team that are on the line today, helping us navigate through this very exciting few next steps that we have. Thank you all for attending.